everyone, welcome back to Learner's World. Today's video is going to be over a handful of ancient empires. I'll have a fill-in-the-blank note sheet and Quizlet linked in the description box below. So without further ado, let's get started. Starting off with the Akkadian Empire, this was an ancient Semitic empire. It was centered in the city of Akkad with the surrounding region of ancient Mesopotamia. The founder of the empire was King Sargon, who had conquered several regions of Mesopotamia and consolidated his power, instating Akkadian officials in new territories. The Akkadian Empire had a period of unsuccessful conquest under Naram Sin. With the benign climatic conditions, huge agricultural surpluses, and confiscation of wealth experienced during this period, the empire collapsed after the invasion of the Gutian. This empire controlled Mesopotamia, parts of Iran, and the Levant. The political peak of the empire was between the 24th and 22nd centuries BCE. Next, we have the Achaemenid Empire, which was also known as the First Persian Empire, conquered by the Median Empire and started the expansion of the Achaemenid Empire, assimilating the neighboring Lydian and Neo-Babylonian empires around the time of 550 BCE under the rule of Cyrus the Great, aka Cyrus II. So Cyrus the Great was succeeded by his son Cambyses II in 530 BCE. By the time Darius the Great and his son Xerxes, the empire had expanded to include Mesopotamia, Egypt, Anatolia, Macedonia, the southern Caucasus, the western Indus Basin, and parts of Central Asia, northern Libya, and northern Arabia. This was one of the four major powers of the ancient Near East until it was conquered by Cyrus the Great in 550 BCE. The empire was ruled by a series of monarchs who joined its disparate tribes by constructing a complex network of roads. At its height, this empire ruled over 44% of the world's population. The Byzantine Empire. This was the eastern half of the Roman Empire. The Byzantine Empire survived for 1,000 years under the western half of the Roman Empire had crumbled to various feudal kingdoms and eventually fell to the Ottoman Turkish onslaughts in 1453. In AD 330, Roman Emperor Constantine I chose Byzantium as the site of a new Rome, with the capital city being Constantinople. It existed from 330 to 1453. This empire varied in size over the centuries. Next, we have the Han Dynasty. The Han Dynasty lasted from 206 BCE to 220 CE. It reunified China after the Civil War following the death of Qin Shi Huang in 210 BCE. During the Han Dynasty, philosophy and literature flourished, and Confucianism became the official government orthodoxy. The Han Dynasty encompassed nearly 400 years of consolidation and expansion. This period was broken down into three stages. Western Han, where its capital was at Chang'an, from 206 BCE to 9 CE. Wangmaneg, aka the Xin Dynasty, from 9 CE to 23 CE, and Eastern Han, with its capital at Luoyang, from 25 CE to 220 CE. Next, we have the Mauryan Empire, from 321 BCE to 187 BCE. This was a geographically extensive, powerful political and military empire in ancient India. The Mauryan Empire originated from the Kingdom of Magadha. The empire was founded by Chandragupta Maurya. The capital city of the empire was Pataliputra. The four provinces of the empire include Tosali, Ujjain, Suvarnagiri, and Taxila. It is known as an Iron Age historical power in South Asia, with its power base in Magadha. The Ottoman Empire. It was one of the mightiest, longest-lasting dynasties in world history. It was an Islamic-run power which ruled large areas of Eastern Europe, North Africa, and the Middle East for over 600 years. The chief leader, who was known as the Sultan, was given absolute political and religious authority over his people. The Ottoman Empire held trade treaties with Venice. Once the empire took over Constantinople, the Ottoman Empire was founded by Osman I, a leader of the Turkish tribes in Anatolia, in 1299. In 1453, Mehmed II, the conqueror, led the Ottoman Turks into seizing Constantinople. Sultan Mehmed renamed the city of Istanbul and made it the new capital of the Ottoman Empire. Assyria. The Assyrian Empire was a collection of cities that existed from 900 BCE to 600 BCE, which grew through warfare aided by new technology such as iron weapons. The Assyrian Empire started off as a major regional power of Mesopotamia in the 2nd millennium BCE. Assyria was located in the northern part of Mesopotamia, which corresponds to most of modern-day Iraq. The Assyrian Empire maintained power for hundreds of years, but in the 600s BCE, the empire became too large to maintain, and it did eventually fall apart. The Roman Empire was centered around the city of Rome, and this also followed the demise of the Roman Republic. Around the 1st century BCE, it marked the transition of Rome from a republic to an empire. This was encompassed by the career of Julius Caesar. The Roman Empire ruled the Mediterranean and much of Western Asia, North Africa, and Europe. The western part of the empire collapsed in 476 AD, and the Eastern Empire lasted until the fall of Constantinople in 1453. The Armenian Empire. This was an Armenian kingdom in the ancient Near East. It existed from 331 BC to 428 AD. Its history is divided into 3 royal dynasties: Orontid in 331 to 200 BC, Artaxid from 189 BC to 12 AD, and Arsacid from 52 to 428. In 66 BC, Armenia became a Roman client kingdom after the defeat of Armenia's ally Mithridates VI of Pontus at the Battle of the Lycus. Russian Empire. This was a historical empire founded November 2nd, 1721. The empire had its genesis when the Russian nobility sought a new bloodline for its monarchy. They found this in Michael Romanov, who was the younger boyar or nobleman who was elected as Tsar in 1613. The empire lasted from 1721 to 1917. The official declaration of Russia being an empire in 1721 was made by Peter the Great. Spanish Empire, sometimes referred to as the Hispanic monarchy or Catholic monarchy. It was a colonial empire that existed between 1492 and 1976. In conjunction with the Portuguese Empire, it ushered the European Age of Discovery, beginning in 1492 with the arrival of Christopher Columbus and continuing for 3 centuries. The Spanish Empire expanded across half of South America, much of North America, most of Central America, and the Caribbean islands. In the beginning, Portugal was the only serious threat to the Spanish hegemony in the New World. The Seleucid Empire. This was a vast political entity established by Seleucus I Nicator. It was a Greek state in West Asia during the Hellenistic period. It was founded in 312 BC. It was founded following the division of the Macedonian Empire. The Seleucid Empire was ruled by the Seleucid dynasty until its annexation by the Roman Republic under Pompey in 63 BC. After receiving the Mesopotamian regions of Babylonia and Assyria in 321 BC, Seleucus I began expanding his dominions to include the Near Eastern territories that encompass modern-day Iraq, Iran, Afghanistan, Syria, and Lebanon, all of which had been under Macedonian control after the fall of the former Achaemenid Empire. Next, we have the Gupta Empire. This was a powerful Indian empire which existed from the 4th century to the mid-6th century BC, or century CE. It ruled the Magadha state of northeastern India. They maintained an empire over northern and parts of central and western India. Historians once regarded the Gupta period as the classical age of India. Among the products traditionally believed to be from the Gupta era include the decimal system of notation. Next, we have the Mongol Empire. This is one of history's contiguous empires, which stretched from Eastern Europe to the Sea of Japan, encompassing a vast area of Eurasia. It was founded by Genghis Khan. Genghis forged the empire by uniting nomadic tribes of Asia. Eventually, the empire dominated Asia from the Black Sea to the Korean Peninsula. British Empire. This was comprised of the dominions, protectorates, mandates, colonies, and other territories that the UK controlled. Not only was the British Empire ruled by the United Kingdom, but it was also ruled by its predecessor states. It began with overseas possessions and trading posts. Macedonia. This centered on the plain of northeastern corner of the Greek peninsula in the 4th century BCE. It achieved hegemony over Greece. The cultural links of prehistoric Macedonia were mainly with Greece and Anatolia. Abbasid Caliphate. This was the third Islamic caliphate. It was established by a dynasty descended from Muhammad's uncle, Abbas ibn Abdul-Muttalib. Sorry if I mispronounced that. Anyway, sometimes it referred to as Abbasids. It was an Arab dynasty that ruled between 750 and 1258. The Abbasid Caliphate is divided into three main periods: early Abbasid era from 750 to 861, middle Abbasid era from 861 to 936, and later Abbasid era, which was from 936 to 1258. Between 750 and 833, the Abbasids raised the prestige and power of the empire, promoting commerce, industry, arts, and science. The First Turkic Khanate, it was established by the Ashina clan of the Gokturks in medieval Inner Asia under the leadership of Bumin Kagan and his brother Istami. The origins trace back to 546 CE. It succeeded the Rouran Khaganate as the hegemonic power in the Mongolian plateau. Carolingian Empire. The Carolingian Empire, or Carolingian dynasty, was a family of Frankish nobles who ruled Francia and its successor kingdoms in Western and Central Europe during the Middle Ages, and this was specifically the early Middle Ages. The dynasty expanded from Francia as far as modern Hungary, Italy, and Spain. The Carolingian emperors and kings dominated the politics of Central Europe. It had ruled as kings from the Franks since 751 and as kings of the Lombards since Italy since 774. Ancient Egypt, the preeminent civilization in the Mediterranean world for almost 300 centuries, from around 3100 BC to its conquest by Alexander the Great in 332 BC. The pre-dynastic period from 5000 to 3100 BC encompassed 2000 years of gradual development of the Egyptian civilization. During the Archaic or early dynastic period, 3100 to 2686 BC, was when King Menes founded the capital of ancient Egypt at White Walls. The Archaic period saw the development of the foundations of Egyptian society. The Old Kingdom from 2686 to 2181 BC began the third dynasty of pharaohs. The Umayyad Caliphate was the second of the four major Islamic caliphates. It was established after the death of Muhammad. This was the first great Muslim dynasty to rule the empire of the caliphate, occasionally referred to as the Arab Kingdom. The Umayyads continued the Muslim conquests, conquering Africa, Transoxiana, Sind, Hispania, and the Maghreb. At its greatest extent, it covered 11,100,000 kilometers squared, which makes it the largest empire in history. This empire ruled over a vast multicultural and multi-ethnic population. The Hittites. This was a powerful Bronze Age empire based in Anatolia, which is modern-day Turkey. It rose to prominence in the 17th century BCE and collapsed in the 12th century BCE. Early kings such as Hattusilus I consolidated and extended Hittite control over much of Anatolia and northern Syria. The Ptolemaic Empire. This Macedonian dynasty of ancient Egypt was founded by Ptolemy I Soter when he openly assumed the kingship of Egypt on November 7th, 305 BCE. Until the death of Cleopatra VII, his descendants ruled over Egypt. The Ptolemaic Egypt was the wealthiest of the kingdoms which emerged in the aftermath of Alexander the Great's death. The empire was in place from 323 to 30 BCE. The Ptolemaic royal ideology blended features of Macedonian and Egyptian kingship. Babylonia. This was a major Mesopotamian empire which flourished in the ancient Near East. It had ushered in a new era of Mesopotamia after the downfall of the Akkadians. This was the place where the most famous phrase was born, or at least one of the most famous phrases, being an eye for an eye, which very well represents the Babylonian sense of justice. The ruler who was largely responsible for the Babylonians' rise in power was Hammurabi, though after Hammurabi's death, the empire declined until about 1595 BCE. The Phoenician Empire. This was a powerful ancient civilization which thrived from 1550 to 300 BCE. The empire was known for its maritime prowess and extensive trade network across the Mediterranean. The Phoenicians used the galley, which was a man-powered sailing vessel. Each Phoenician state was a politically independent unit. Cyrus the Great of Persia conquered Phoenicia in 539 BCE, dividing it into 4 vassal kingdoms of Sidon, Tyre, Arwad, and Byblos. That's all I have for today. I hope y'all enjoyed. If you did, please hit the like button. And if there's something you would like to learn more about in a future video, please leave it in the comment sections below. Also, let me know in the comments if you like having me post links for Quizlets and note sheets. I hope y'all have a great day. Bye!